Alright, so I've got here three separate fights. Each was one after the other. It's a best 2 out of 3, 1 versus 3. So it was me versus 3 others. They can pick whatever weapons they want. They can bring in spears, swords, shields, whatever. You're going to see them swap things out a little bit as the fight goes on. I'm going to play it at full speed first, then at half speed. During the half speed, I'm going to narrate a little bit of my thought process and what I'm trying to accomplish with everything I'm doing. I'll also put time codes for each fight in the description. Here comes the first one. Alright, so this is the first fight. We have a dual wielder, a spear, and a longsword in front of me. I've got my dagger and my spear and my back shield. Dual wielding, that's not that good. I kill him on my first shot. He can't even stop me. I just put it right in between his weapons. Knock the spear away. He's trying to punish me for my shot. And now I want to kill a spear fighter. The longsword's not much of a threat to me. So I'm going to do what's called wibbly wobbling. That's what I've heard it called. I'm trying to bait the spear shot. And there it comes. And I counter. He's dead. And at this point, I'm real confident. There's nothing this guy can do to touch me. He goes one-handed to try to catch the spear, but it's not working. And he's getting stressed out. He's starting to trip. And down he goes. And I finish him right there. So that's it for the fight. I double tap him, maybe triple tap him a little bit just to make sure. But yeah, that's fight number 1. It was a win for me. So this one was a lot shorter. They pressured me really well. I do want to point out a couple of things here though. So they've switched weapons. The guy had a spear last time. He switched to a sword and shield, which was, I think, a good move. And then we have a new spear fighter who's using a short spear. He's the one who ends up taking the shot that kills me, because I do finish off the sword and shield guy. Dual wielder, he gets in at the end, but I'm already dead by the time he reaches me. So we start here. You can already see sword and shield is being a little aggressive. He's pulling out front, and I can sort of feel that he's going to rush me. So when he does, I'm going to take a shot, bait him out a little bit. He's going to rush me. Right there, I block his shot, block another shot, block a third shot, and then take him with my dagger. I swing around his back and nail him in the back with it. At that point, the spear fighter gets me. I've been focused on the longsword for too long, and he wipes me out. They pushed really good, and they sort of surrounded me a little bit, crowded me too much for me to be able to bait them around too much, which is the right move against a spear fighter. Alright, so they've got the same weapons as last time. One thing I didn't point out previously is that their spear fighter doesn't really know how to hold a spear. He keeps it right up next to his face, which is not ideal in my personal experience. But you know, he gives it a try, and it worked out for him last fight. So coming into this, they're going to try a similar things they did last time, but I'm a bit more prepared for it this time, and I handle the sword and shield a little better too. So we start, and they start pushing in right away, and I'm going to start backing up because I want to try to buy myself some time to string them out a little bit. You can see the sword and the spear sticking really close together. I take a shot at a leg and I miss. He's pushing in. I'm going to wind that spear so much that it gets in the way of the sword, and then I plant the sword in his chest. I hit him pretty hard there, and he goes to the ground. He was all right, though. So here, my real threat is a spear, so I'm going to change directions when they're not expecting, and I'm going to plant that spear right in his chest. You can see I wound around him a little bit there. And then take that guy in the back with my dagger, and that's the end of the fight. So after this, we're going to talk a little bit about my philosophy when fighting with these. Alright, let's take a look at this shot. This is one of my favorite shots. It's I call it winding. I don't know if it has a specific name. I haven't read a lot of those manuals and things. But the idea is you're doing a circle around their weapon before going in. So I go in, he goes to block, I do a circle around his block, and then I stab him. It's like a feint, I suppose. I'm going in, changing directions, and then finishing my shot. This works really well on spear fighters who aren't expecting it. If they're already moving their spear to block, then you just stab them. It's one of my biggest things when fighting is I neglect contact with the opponent's weapon and stab them. And as far as spear fighting goes, that's really simple and it's worked out really well for me. Don't touch their weapon, convince them that they're about to touch yours, and then put yours somewhere they're not expecting it. Lots of feinting, lots of maneuvering your weapon, a little bit of mind games, things like that. That works really, really well. Another thing that's kind of useful is if they start to get in close, you can use the spear and tent it, the rest of the point on the ground, and use it at an angle to block shots. I'm doing that here against the sword. You can see I'm blocking a bunch of his shots, and then I come around his right side and I hit him in the back with my knife. That's a pretty standard way I handle close quarters. And finally, let's talk about dual wielding a little bit, because I know we love dual wielding. It looks great in the movies. It feels good when you're holding two swords and you can stab someone 2 times as much. But unfortunately, it just doesn't work. People have tried. Lots of people at the club I fight at, they say, "Oh, I just need to practice dual wielding for long enough, and then I'll be able to fight you with your spear and win." And I tell them, you do that. You go practice. You practice as long as you want. And then they come and fight me after their weeks or months of practicing, and I kill them the same way. They never get close enough to touch me. It's just the same thing every time. It's tragic, but I will say that I truly believe that dual wielding is the worst way to fight. Feel free to disagree with me, though. Find a way to make it work, and I will be very happy.